Any other questions on time fund? All right, we'll go to item 9, update of GMA 10. David?
There is no update this time. They've not met since last summer, and they called no meetings, and the mag were not issued, so there's really nothing to report on that. I did ask Kurt, he said they would probably call a meeting here in the next 30 days or so, but I've not seen any notice on that.
All right, item 8, update GMA 9. Jim McMeans to speak. Jim. All right. He missed his opportunity to speak. I went to a meeting with the GMA 9, and we discussed the MAG, we discussed the DFCs, and we discussed that our district will be having some meetings, some workshops to come up with some numbers. They had different numbers. The Texas Board Development Board has put out 2 different sets of numbers. So that's about where we're at. We'll have more on that at the next meeting. All right, item 7.
I just want to go ahead and pull items 7 and 6. I'm just going to pull those right now, defer them to another meeting.
You sure? We went round and round and put them on there.
Yeah, I'm going to
You were pointing upset, I didn't put them on there.
pull them for the next meeting.
5, 6, and 7.
No, 6 and 7.
6 and 7. Oh, yeah, I see.
All right. Do you want to put a speaker on those? We did have a speaker on that. Linda K. Rogers wanted to speak on the equitable management strategy.
I'll ask what comes up for discussion.
All right, item 3. Mountain Crest Aquatex.
I had a meeting with Aquatex's Brent. Recently, we reviewed the compromise settlement agreement letter, which contained, you'd have A, B, and C, A and C, talking about our Rule 9 and their objection to Rule 9, but it also had B, which was their failure to present their findings of the leaks to the board by January 31st. I rewrote the letter, I sent it to them, I gave them a couple more weeks to get it through their system, and that's where we are. I don't know if Brent is still in the audience and wants to talk about that or not, but that's where we stand. We have until, well, I sent it on the 18th, and I gave him an additional 19 days. So I hope to see something soon.
Rick, didn't they do everything that they said they did last time? They did as far as the testing and...
I don't have it in front of me, but they did do a couple leak detection. I don't recall the name of it. He presented one receipt. He said another one had been done, but he has not presented that receipt to me yet. I don't have those in front of me, but they're trying. But the point is that they failed to communicate with us for quite a while, and they do acknowledge that. And hopefully they will work with this new compromise settlement letter.
Yes, okay.
I was just going to say that it has been presented to the Aquatex's president and to our legal counsel, so waiting for them to make the decision.
All right, we have one speaker up there. Linda Lane. Excuse me?
I made an error
Okay.
on the number, so scratch that, please.
Go ahead, Beth. Want to say anything on it? All right, we'll wait to hear something maybe at the next regular meeting we have. All right, item 4, removal of board officer David Baker, Mark Key. We do have some speakers on that.
Let me, talk first, or you want to talk?
That's fine, sure.
I've got a lot of calls about this. People think it's petty and just being childish just this late in the game. But I think the issue that just came up a while ago where David recused himself is a major problem. Anyone who's been to these meetings over the last year knows that David and I have had some pretty good, went at pretty good. I mean, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. You know, if it was just an anger deal, bring this up, I would have brought it up in February or January. Where I got hung up was you are a paid employee of the Woodley Valley Watershed Association. You know, the Texas Government Code is quite clear. If you receive over 10% of your income, I can assume you make $600,000 a year selling paintings, and that takes that away. It's less than 10%. But the problem is, just a while ago, you had to recuse yourself as VP. If for some reason Mr. Skipton can't make a meeting, we've got arguably, in the next 2 months, the most important 2 months of the entire year. I mean, would you not agree with that? We've got GMA to deal with, we've got the contested cases to deal with, and I don't know that you're going to recuse yourself every time. It could end up that you would actually sit as board president, and our board does allow quite a bit of leeway to the president. The president can call special meetings. You would sit in judgment of your employer, and that's the main problem I have with it. I'm willing to listen to other people on the board. I'm not in love with the idea, but I just wanted to get it out there that essentially you filed a contested case against yourself.
Well, the Watershed Association filed it on the policy decision, and the way that you deal with that is what I did. I recused myself and sat down that's how you deal with a conflict of interest, is you recuse yourself, and that's how I chose to deal with that. But these decisions are policy decisions; they're not personal. And
It's not personal to me either. If it was personal, we would have been here in February.
Well,
I mean, I think with just a couple of months left, first, I would have thought that was, why are we pushing this issue? And there have been a few other things that have come up that did concern me. The most important one being that you talked to the Texas Water Development Board, and you told the Texas Water Development Board to use numbers that this board didn't approve, and I just think that's not right. Even a board, anything. I wouldn't do that to you, and I wouldn't expect you to do this board. You and I have talked about that. You thought it was okay to give the numbers. I don't think it was okay. I think this board needs to make that decision. I wasn't very happy with that at all, that you did that. I wasn't happy that 2 weeks ago, you sent an email that if they're not put on the agenda, I will contact the Attorney General and file a complaint. That's my right as an elected board member, are being denied. Just so people understand, every month we have an agenda. I look at the agenda and I've come to this conclusion that no one likes a 7-hour meeting. So I try to go through them now and make sure we don't get a bunch of things on there that we can't handle. I thought this hearing that we were going to have tonight was going to last 3 or 4 hours. We had to hear from each individual person. I didn't know they had a lawyer. I did not know it was going to go near this fast. But it did. It got a continuance. So at that time, when I was doing the agenda, I was letting everybody put 1 or 2 items on there so we could concentrate on the hearing. Mr. Baker was upset about that and sends an email to Rick, and Rick forwards it to me that we're going to get the Attorney General. I'm not going to spend our money with a lawyer, so I said, whatever he wants to put on the agenda, put it on. That's fine. If it's that important, put it on the agenda, and if we're here till 4 in the morning, we'll be here. Some of the items he wanted, he dropped anyway, so that was okay. I don't like the idea of the threat. That, myself, I don't understand that. I mean, just pick up the phone and call me if something's important. I know it's hard for everybody to believe this, but my phone number's on the internet. Right on our website. The only one out of this whole board up here, the only one that puts his cell phone on there. No one else has decided to pull me up and do that, but I'm okay if you call me. I'll talk to anybody who calls. may not agree with me, but I'll sure talk to you. You deserve that. But when you do that, and then the GMA 9 process, you weren't happy that we, GMA 9 voted on a 30-foot drawdown, which is 19 foot here. I understand you weren't happy, but then in turn to go and send documentation and ask Tony Bagwell to send documentation back in October, it's just not the right thing. You just really, you gotta be careful when you do that. I mean, I think you,
Well, Jimmy, on that issue, on the exempt well issue, HDR was hired by Hayes County, the groundwater district, the city of Wood Creek, the city of Wimberley, some other, I'm sure there was Hayes County contributed that. It was a $250,000 study that took over a year and a half to complete. They did an analysis of the exempt growth that would happen in the future in Hayes County. They spent a lot of time and money studying this issue. The county and the district hired them to do it. I brought this issue up numerous times before the board and would put up a slide and say, you know, these are the numbers we're looking at in terms of exempt growth. And we never were able to get into a discussion about what was an equitable number. And that report was completed. I've been talking with Tony Bagwell. It was the best numbers we had in terms of, because our district also has a special situation where there are many, many lots that are exempt, and it's different than Chapter 36, which only exempts 10 acres or more. So we have 1 acre lots and 2 acre lots that could potentially have wells. So this report did an analysis of that. It was very, very in-depth. That's what got filed with the Water Development Board. Now, you know, Jimmy saw that was going to be 331 acre feet and said, that's not acceptable. Where do these numbers come from? The Water Development Board's numbers are 4,100 acre feet, as I said earlier. So they changed that report after Jimmy's protest, and now...
well, no, sir, it wasn't a protest. Just so everybody understands, I called Ron Fiesler, the GMA 9, man who runs the GMA 9, and asked him, how did our district change? He said he had no idea. Give me a day and I'll find out. He sent an email off to Wade Oliver. Wade Oliver answered him, and his answer was, I've attached the email and data tables we received related to the exempt pumping at Hayes Trinity GCD. After coordinating with us, so we knew to expect it, David Baker of Htgcd asked Tony Bagwell at HDR to forward us alternate estimates of exempt use. We received the email below on October 5th, 2010. I in turn called that man and said, Wade, my name is Jimmy Skipton. How did you get this? Was it board approved? I thought possibly the previous board had approved it. His first thing was, I'm very sorry, we've made a huge mistake. I'll change it in 4 hours. It'll be changed by this evening. I called Ron back and I said, Ron, they made a mistake, they're going to change it. Ron said they won't change anything in 4 hours. They don't do anything that quick. The next morning it was changed. I was apologized by 3 different people from that district, from the Texas Water Development District Board. Apologizing for taking this. They assumed it was coming from our board. October 5th, the county had not even approved what HDR did. I didn't get them to change anything. I asked them why they did it. And once they realized what they did was wrong and wasn't approved by us, that's all I'm asking. Those numbers, I've had a phone call from David Glenn. He's not sure about those numbers. He wants to meet. That's why we're having all these meetings. He's very upset, thinking that this may be the gospel. If it's the gospel, then we need a 48-inch water line brought into the valley tomorrow. I don't know if anybody wants a 48-inch water line brought into the valley. But if those are the numbers we're going to go off of, we as a board need to decide that. Not David Baker, not Jimmy Skipton. So the numbers, I asked him why those numbers were there. He said, we're going to put you back to Texas Water Development numbers, which all the other members of GMA 9 had. We were the only one of GMA 9 that don't have that. I thought that gave us an opportunity now to look at it. And I think that's where we are now. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying what Mark's idea to get rid of you today as a vice president. But when you do things like this, and you wonder why people would question you. I question how on October 5th you could say that this was a good number when the county hadn't even approved those numbers yet.
But has the county approved those numbers?
Sure.
Okay, well, there you go.
But there you go. That's what I'm saying. There you go. That's why someone like Mark Key looks at it and goes, there you go. Well, I thought you'd be pregnant anyway, so it'll be okay.
Jimmy, this is an important decision.
Jimmy, this is, right now is the first time that this board has actually had a discussion about the numbers. Because in the past, when it would be brought up, you guys would look at me like, what are you talking about?
That's because GMA 9 had said we weren't going to do anything until we saw the numbers come back, and then we'd all have that opportunity.
But Jimmy, the board paid for this study. This study was something
The
that...
board never approved it. We haven't approved that study yet.
Well, and that's why we're having a workshop, right?
Right.
Well, so you see what the issue is here. It's exempt growth.
No, but the issue is you told a government agency a number that you wanted us to use.
It was a number generated by a government agency that funded the study. Water Development Board funded the study. So why is that number not usable?
I don't know. The Water Development Board sure didn't want to use it. They sat in the meeting last at the GMA 9, and the man walked up to me and said, I would like to apologize. I'm very, very sorry. We made a mistake. I said, why? We assumed. We won't ever assume again. That's all. That's the point.
Well,
I mean, the number may come up higher. Why can't it be higher?
well, Jimmy, you got to look at the data. You have to look at the information and make a decision about the methodology.
Right.
that something is used.
I have looked at that data with them. They came to the office and we went over it the day you didn't come to a meeting at the office. We went over the data and HDR had some issues. I asked some questions and HDR goes, well, you got a point. We don't know how many rainwater collections there are. We don't know this. We don't really know this, but we have to assume. I said, okay, but our board should have that opportunity to assume.
Well, and that's why you're having the workshop. Finally. I mean, finally we're going to...
We're having the workshop because the numbers weren't sent out by Texas Water Development Board until 3 weeks ago. As soon as they came out, I looked at it, we need to have a workshop, and what is our number so much different than everybody else's? Well, we don't need a workshop. David's already fixed it for us.
Well, do you understand that you've got 330 or you've got 5,000? How do you have confidence in
That's the workshop.
This isn't a numbers question, it's a procedure question. We need to make the decision, us as a board.
No, we need the truth is what we
I
need.
mean, it's not an opinion. It's a fact. It's a number that's generated by...
It's not a fact.
Okay, well, then, if it's a fact, HDR says we need a 48-inch water line to go to Windway. Is everybody, are we okay with that, everybody?
No.
No, but they said.
We shouldn't be having this discussion now. You're acting like children. I'm sorry, but this is really not how you deal with a personnel problem.
So what would you like us to go in executive session and discuss it?
You
That's what I would like.
shouldn't even be discussing it. David's going to be here one more meeting.
That's why we're discussing it now. I'm with you,
Just
ma'am.
go
I'm with
with
you.
it. Just let it be.
What does that serve?
You're exactly right.
You're just making a whole hullabaloo over nothing.
Over nothing that
Unless it was
he
marked,
went and
unless
looked
it
for
was
numbers.
marked, unless it was marked, and then you would have a different opinion.
Yeah,
No,
I get it.
think so.
Yes, you absolutely would, and everybody probably values it.
Yeah, I-
Everybody, if that was marquee, you would have.
Enough.
This is important because we really do have to establish that the board needs to vote on these things before they go to the state agency. And it will be another candidate who will take David's place. Now, I don't know when the study was done, and I didn't read the study, I don't think. But it was never brought to my attention or the attention of any of the board members. And of course, we were all new, we didn't understand what it was. We had a high learning curve. Yes.
When was the study done?
It's been going on the last year and a half,
When
almost
they
2
paid
years.
$250,000.
Finalized November 28th or something.
So we should be able to see the study.
The
Yes.
study is on the web, on the web. Hayes County has a link to it. It's pretty in-depth.
And some people think the people that did the study are idiots.
I don't think
I think what the issue is process, that I've been in dialogue and been involved with this a long time, sent those numbers to the Water Development Board, and they use those numbers in calculating this managed available groundwater. I personally think that the number is low. I think it probably is closer to what the Water Development Board has. But having this discussion during an item that's talking about removing me from the board is inappropriate, and I agree with that. So
Dave, let me ask you.
I'd like to just, say that, this isn't about, this isn't about the process, it's about what's the outcome. And if one faction wants more water out of the aquifer and one wants to keep it in, and that's what this is about.
I beg your pardon?
We are, just wait 1 second.
So David, you're gonna recuse yourself from the entire, contested case here.
Yeah, we've got one more meeting, board meeting, and this the public meeting. I will not participate in that, in any of the discussion or votes on that. Absolutely, that's that.
So that was my big, I mean, we got off the other thing too, but that was, like I said, all the other stuff we talked about, I've had problems with, but this to me was a big issue because before today, or 30 minutes ago, I didn't know you were going to recuse yourself. So you can see my side saying, hey, wait a minute, he's going to sit in judgment of his employer. I mean, you know what I mean? That's scary. You see my point? I mean, it's not.
What was your reason before then?
Enough. You want to talk and then you come here and speak.
I'll speak, I'll not speak, I'll leave, I'll shut up.
You can leave then. If you
You're
would
running
leave,
a
please.
fiefdom here, Jimmy.
If you would leave, please.
This is a fiefdom, and you're pissed that David Baker went around you with some different numbers and got outside your little process fiefdom.
Correct.
That's what's going on here. And we all know it.
Yes,
And
ma'am,
this
the
is
process.
inappropriate
It
all
should have
over
been
the
David
place.
Baker's process. You're right.
Our kid
David
gets
Baker, the water
involved in
guru,
this
okay? Make you feel
silly
good?
boy thing.
Enough. If you want to speak again, go outside and talk to a car or something, okay? Enough.
Okay, so here's the next question. I don't know our rules well enough. If, Mr. President, if you can't make it, David recused himself. Who is it? Senior member at that point?
It then goes to, on a hearing, it goes to whoever y'all vote to do it on a hearing.
Or you can appoint a hearing examiner, which is probably a more rational way to do it.
But that's how it would go right now. If he recuses himself, the three of y'all can amongst yourselves figure who you want to be the hearing, the presiding officer.
Okay. And I'm good.
I make a motion to not remove David Baker. He's doing a great job.
You good?
All right, we have some speakers though. The speaker want to speak, Dorothy Knight?
Was there a second to that motion?
Who's the second?
I second it.
No, we can't vote until they speak. You're going to tell us they want to either first not to go forward or vote to do it. I don't know yet.
Well, I appreciate the motion you just made, Jimmy, but I do want to speak to the issue because I am on the board for the Wimberley Valley Watershed Association. I've worked very closely with David Baker for the past 3 years, and we're all very pleased that he has won the TCEQ Award for Environmental Excellence. And the reason he won the award is because he is a true environmentalist. And he stands up and faces the issues and faces the people, the very, very difficult issues that are there for all of us to look at. And he never backs down and takes the easy way out and thinks, well, okay, if I don't say anything, this will all go smoother. You know, he has to say what is true. And he speaks up, even when it makes the meetings a lot longer and creates a lot of conflict at times, but I admire him for doing this. And I think it would be a travesty to remove him from his office at this point. I mean, it's just a way of posturing and showing that you have control. What is the point of doing this? And there's only one meeting left. What is the point of it except to make this stand in public that, you know, it will only disgrace you further. So I request that you do not do this. Please be the kind of public officials who show a deep concern for the environment that you have been elected to protect. Thank you.
Linda K. Rogers.
I would highly recommend that the 3 newcomers on this board take a course in how to be a director. This board is not intended to be in agreement all the time. I would hope there would be disagreement and discussion without it pursuing or producing vindictiveness and spitefulness, and that is what this motion looks like, Mr. Key. It is spiteful, it is individual, it is unnecessary. I can't believe it has even come up. There is 1 meeting left. It is not uncommon for individuals on boards or directors to have to recuse themselves for any number of reasons, and it doesn't matter what position they hold on the board. So your excuse for trying to do this is pretty thin. I believe it shows a character or lack of character flaw, and this is my opinion, that I find extremely disturbing on any type of board or in any position of leadership. Mr. Baker, I congratulate you on a well-earned and deserved reward and recognition, and I am proud to be one of the people who has benefited from that by living in the Wimberley Valley. Mr. Skipton, congratulations on your motion. It makes absolutely no sense to do this at a point in time. So I hope this board will grow up in the next few minutes and behave like adults. This has nothing to do with what you're here to do. It is a personal matter that makes absolutely no difference at this point in time. So guys, pay attention to what you're doing, because we are paying attention, and you're not looking so good right now.
Thank you very much for that. Linda Lang.
I'm Linda Lang, and I'm a citizen of Wood Creek, and once again, I'm very proud that David Baker is my director. And I've been here 4 years, and I've learned to admire and count on David, and I believe his integrity is flawless. Thank you.
And Leila McCall. Leah McCall. Lila McCall?
Steve, can I say I didn't sign up?
If you sign up, you sure can. Yes, ma'am.
Would you mind if I say?
If you stand up and sign up, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, please.
Okay.
State your name.
Mary Ann Mitchell. What's that?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't, but I just wanted to pass on to you that this board could stand a day-long lesson in civic government. You should all know what recusing means. I think I spoke with Marquis and mentioned that was a way David could deal with the situation. So Rick Brown can help you set that up, because you wouldn't get into all this kind of stuff.
We just, for information, we all have to take a course online.
Well, take it again, you know. I don't know if you adopted Robert's Rules of Orders, but that certainly can be helpful in tricky situations. But you have things to help you make adult decisions and not get into personality destruction. Thank you.
All right. Anything else on the agenda?
Could I?
Wait, okay. Please bring your form up, yes. You have a form, Jack, you want to speak? Bring your form. Anybody else want to speak on this issue? Please bring the form. All right, Jack Holland, please.
I've worked with David for a number of years on the watershed board, and I've never seen a more dedicated, hardworking servant of the community. David always goes the extra mile. He's very thoughtful. He's very dedicated. I want to make a comment too on this conflict of interest thing. The decision to contest the permit was not made by David Baker on behalf of the Watershed Association. That was a vote of the board of the Watershed Association, and that's one of our responsibilities. And as a member of that board, I just want to remind everybody here that David didn't jump in and do that. We knew when we made that decision that he was serving on this board also and would probably have to recuse himself on that issue. But these things happen all the time. The fact that he works for an organization that's interested in water conservation should make him an ally of the work of this board, because we all ought to be on the same page, I think, on preserving and conserving and protecting our groundwater. That's the reason that you guys were voted, and women and men are voted into your positions, and so we hope you'll do a good job on that. Get after it. Thank you, David.
Shelley?
Hi, my name is Shelley Buse. Thank you, Jimmy, for your motion. As you know, a lot of people in Wimberley really honor and respect David Baker. And I know you guys aren't from Wimberley, and you might not understand why, we care so much about our valley, but it's our home, and it's really beautiful, and we really care for it, and we're worried about it. And there's a lot of water issues all over the world that are happening, and water is becoming a big issue. And it means a lot to us not to just have enough water to drink, but the beauty in Wimberley with the rivers and the creeks is very special to our souls, to our well-being, to everything. And I know you guys are trying hard, and I know it's really, really difficult when a bunch of us come in and say, you're not doing the right thing. And I respect your roles in this groundwater conservation district. I really respect it, and I hope that you will continue to look into the data and the numbers and realize that it's not just going to replenish itself. If it goes away, it's gone. And it affects all of us, and not just the Wimberley Valley, it affects all of us. So please be careful in your decisions. This is our home, and Dripping Springs is your home. Come down and visit us, and go swimming in Jacob's Well, and check it out. Thank you for your roles, and for actually volunteering to do this without pay.
My name is Bill Davis. I'm a resident of the district. I heard one speaker speak about David not taking the easy way out. My concern is that David's been taking the crooked way in, from my perspective. I've heard nothing for the last 6 months with research. Some of these resolutions that purportedly come from Wood Creek, well, you listen to the minutes, they actually came from David Baker. Pushing these resolutions and trying to give the appearance that it's somebody else besides David Baker behind these resolutions. The problem isn't that David Baker's working with WVWA. The problem is that he's compensated by WVWA while he's sitting up here on this board. The fact that WVWA claims to have some stake in this matter that's going on is the very evidence of why he cannot vote. I did not hear in the litany of issues that have come up in the last 6 months the point about David Baker I recall, I was at the meeting where this was announced, where a false management plan was sent to Texas Water Development Board under the pretext that it was from Page 30 Groundwater Conservation District. That, folks, that's not working for you, and it wouldn't matter who else was doing that. That's really kind of a crooked act, excuse me. It's very deceptive, and you can't trust anybody that's engaging in activity like that. Let's not forget the money disappearing from the account. I'm not accusing him of taking it, but his name keeps being associated with these types of activities in the district. I'd also like to point out that it's not sufficient to recuse yourself. You have to file an affidavit disclosing your interest. I don't know if you've done that with the district, but you might look at the criminal sanctions for failure to do that. I don't think Mr. Ellis is very experienced with criminal law, but at any rate. As far as how to be a director, to the people who don't like what's been going on, I don't think putting in false numbers, claiming to represent somebody that you don't, claiming to act on behalf of an organization that you don't, or misrepresenting the source of various resolutions is acting like a director. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else? A motion to, no, we need to vote, I'm sorry. Excuse me. All in favor of not removing David Baker, say aye. Aye.
I'll abstain.
All wanting to remove David Baker, say aye.
I'll abstain too.
Okay. It passes between the two.
Use the can.
The what?
Use the can.
The can.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. There you go.